Meantime, take a look at this. Shares of China's Tencent holdings falling nearly 8% overnight. This in Hong Kong after the company was added to a list of, quote, Chinese military companies by the U.S. Department of Defense. Now, Tencent said in a statement that its inclusion on that list was, quote, certainly a mistake. It said it is not a military company or a supplier and said the listing has no impact on its business. Now, another company added to that list, battery maker CATL, company that is part of the supply chain for automakers. That includes Ford and Tesla as well. Those shares falling as much as 5.6%, but closed off the lows. They're now down about 2.8%. The company saying its inclusion on the list is also a mistake and that it is not engaged in any military-related activities.
Doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't take much to somehow find your way into militaries. I'm sure that it wasn't just totally arbitrary that they came up.
Well, I think the bigger questions probably come back to this, the same questions that have been raised about TikTok, in that
Right.
if you are a company in China and the Chinese government asks you
Could
to
say
do
all
something,
Chinese companies are engaged in
Correct.
trying to.
But if you're coming in and being a part of our supply chain when it comes to automobiles or finding a way to consumers, I think those are going to be the questions that are asked. And this is the new
We're in competition
way of looking
with China. And business is war and war is business. And may not be, specifically, going into high performance, bombers or something, but.
And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that he will step down in the coming months. He plans to stay on until his replacement has been chosen through a nationwide party election.
I truly feel that removing the contention around my own continued leadership is an opportunity to bring the temperature down.
He'll be stepping aside in the party. He said he has not been able to bring that party together and is trying to make room for this in an election that's coming up in just a few months. In the meantime, he suspended the gridlocked parliament until March 24th. The U.S. dollar is up about 5% against the Canadian loonie just over the last 3 months. And a little later in the show, we'll be talking to Bruce Heyman. He is the former U.S. ambassador to Canada. Mark Carney, former Bank of England head, thinking about getting into this and maybe throwing his hat in the ring as well.
And you got a currency named the loonie. I mean, let's start there. Anyway, go ahead.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing plans to resign after nearly a decade in power. Trudeau says that he will stay on as Prime Minister until his Liberal Party picks a new leader later this year. Joining us right now to discuss the implications for the U.S., including trade, tariffs, and so much more. I want to bring in Bruce Heyman, who served as U.S. ambassador to Canada in the Obama administration. He is author of The Art of Diplomacy, Strengthening the Canada-U.S. Relationship in Times of Uncertainty. And boy, are we there right now. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. Maybe one of the first casualties of a trip to Mar-a-Lago, Ambassador.
Well, while those dots look to connect, the reality is that in Canada, prime ministers of either party, conservative or liberal, have about a 10-year term. And while they've been reelected various times, and it isn't a term, but a 10-year life expectancy as prime minister, and Justin Trudeau is at about that mark right now. And so it's not surprising. Also, in a post-pandemic world, we've seen a lot of changes in government in the West world, and Canada is no exception, having experienced some of the same issues that we faced in the United States with inflation and cost of groceries and rising levels of government debt and those kinds of things. So look, he faced a battle within his own party, and he addressed that directly when he addressed the Canadian public. And he knew that the election was scheduled to take place this year, and he knew it would be very difficult for him to survive that.
Okay, so let's talk about the implications of this, how the politics change in Canada, how that changes the relationship with the United States.
So let's just go at a high level, first of all, for all of Americans. The U.S. has no better partner, no better ally, no better friend in the entire world than Canada. And we're lucky that Canada is our northern neighbor. But if we went around the world and said we could choose anybody, I think we'd go back and choose Canada again. And so how it will change, I think it's a good moment, actually, in some respects, that we'll have a new leader in the United States, a new prime minister in Canada, And it gives us an opportunity to sit down and have a dialogue and build on what we have done so successfully historically in building this incredible relationship. You know, over 2/3 of the United States their number one export market is Canada. And I have traveled with Republican governors and Democratic governors throughout Canada in promoting trade. Most recently, even this last year, with Governor Pritzker from Illinois. So I think the opportunity set is quite large here, and I think it's going to be a good moment as a reset moment for two new leaders to sit down.
When you think about this, though, what is the take inside of Canada about some of President-elect Trump's commentary as it relates to Canada being the potentially great 51st state of the United States? What does that do to the psyche of all of this?
Well, look, there's a range of reactions. Some of those reactions are thinking it's humorous. Others, take it as a compliment. You think we're so valuable up here, you'd like us to be part of the United States. But the reality is the Canadians are a very proud people. They are while next door, and some Americans may think they're just like us, they're not. They are a unique culture. I've experienced this on both sides of the border in business and politics. And I will tell you, I think it just energizes and gives the opportunity for Canadians to come together as one country and to have that dialogue with the United States. But I think everything that Donald Trump would like to see get accomplished with Canada can be done diplomatically and can be done behind closed doors. And a conversation with new ambassadors, with new Secretary of State coming in, Marco Rubio, and gives a real good opportunity for the United States to do some level setting. Sure, there are some small areas of concern, but for the most part, this is the richest relationship between two countries in the world.
Is there anything in any joke, they always say that there's some truth. So when President-elect Trump says that the trade imbalance with the U.S. basically subsidizes a lot of what happens in Canada. And that's the point he's making, that being next to the most powerful economy on the planet it has been very lucrative for Canada. And in certain ways, you say there are small areas that aren't fair. Is that all it is at this point, Mr. Ambassador?
It was interesting, Joe. I sat down with a Foreign Service officer and I looked across the table at her when I became ambassador, and I said, what are the challenges that we have with Canada? And after a pregnant pause for a while, she said, there are none. And I said, there are none. Well, we have Keystone Pipeline, and we have, softwood lumber, and we have the Detroit-Windsor Bridge, and who's going to pay for that?
Milk, right? How much?
Milk.
Yeah.
We have milk and dairy. And she said,
Real
no,
milk.
sir, we just have opportunities. We just have opportunities. Now, the trade imbalance that people are referring to is substantially energy. And look, we need that energy in the United States, and we benefit from this strong relationship. And the energy that we get from Canada is of all types. It's from renewables to fossil fuels, and it's from hydro to solar. And so, look, I think the opportunity set to expand the energy relationship is there. But, this trade deficit is small in terms of the total size of the relationship. We have a multi-billion-dollar daily trading relationship and investment relationship that creates jobs on both sides of the border. And our trading relationship is literally that math that 1 + 1 is 3. It's better for both of us. We create jobs, and we're better as a result of it.
Okay. Ambassador, we're going to leave the conversation there. I want to thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Okay. Coming up, should Bitcoin be part of your 401k? We've got that story ahead. And in the next hour, you don't want to miss this, a wide-ranging exit interview with FTC Chair Lina Khan. All that's happened over the last 4 years and what may happen over the next 4 years.